Hello, Callie Bear here. This is about the 5th time I have tried to record this video. I got a bit of a ways in the last time, but I keep stopping because I can't seem to get my webcam to focus the way it has been recently. I can't seem to get it to autofocus on the cards that I'm showing. It seems to work fine when I'm using it via YouTube for streaming, but not via OBS. If anyone knows how to fix that, please let me know, because the whole point of me buying this bloody webcam was so that I could film like this and show the cards, you know, the important thing, the thing we're all interested in, show them more clearly. So I'm a little bit like at my wit's end, and yeah. So anyway, as you'll see from the title, this is a tag. This was started by James Feeney. I have watched James's original video. I've also watched Laura over at Aquamarine 18, Joey Luna, Meg over at Honey Rose Ritual. I think they're the only ones that I've seen so far, and I thought I would throw my hat into that tag ring. So I have 5 decks here, and these are the ones that just really came to mind when I was thinking about what's sentimental to me, for, you know, sort of emotional, personal reasons. I mean, realistically, I could probably pick between 10 and 15 decks, but I wanted to keep it short and sweet, keep it succinct, for a change, and just stick to the first 5 that really sort of got into my head. And 3 of them I've had for like a really long time. And the first one I'm going to show you is the very first deck that I ever got. I bought it myself. I saved up some pocket money. I bought it from Mysteries in Covent Garden. This is the original copy that I bought, I think, in 1997. I was only 16 years old. And I didn't know anything about, do you see what I mean? It's not focusing on the bloody cards. How annoying is that? I've set it up the same as I did before, but yeah, I'm gonna have to try and fix that, because that's a problem. Makes the camera not as useful as I thought it was going to be. Good for lives, not so much for right now. And yeah, I didn't know anything about Smith Waite or Marseille or Thoth or any of that. I didn't know, you know, coins, pentacles, you know, coins or pentacles, cups, batons or wands, swords or épées. You know, I didn't know about any of that. This is one of my favourite cards, actually. I remember the keyword for this one was creativity. Mine's trimmed, so I don't know what. I know that there's a pocket version, a mini version now. I don't know what size that would be. I can't imagine it being too much smaller than this. Because this is the standard size trimmed down, the artwork is going to be, it's still going to be quite small, but the artwork's bigger, so I'm not going to bother with the mini version. But yeah, I just picked the one that was most appealing to me art-wise, and I trimmed it because it does come with keywords across the bottom, and generally as a rule I find keywords really irritating. And back then I didn't think you could just cut the borders and keywords off your decks. Goodness me, I wouldn't even have thought to do such a thing. Yeah, I just eventually, about 4 years ago I want to say, I just was like, you know, I'd already been modifying a ton of decks by that point. I'm like, you know what, these keywords and these borders, they gotta go. And you know, I nearly bought a new copy and did it to that, but actually I was like, no, this is my original copy and it wouldn't feel the same. And I know, you know, oof, you know, it's an original printing of a deck, but it's mine, who cares? And I'm really glad I did it. It's so much better since I trimmed it. And I can still remember most of the keywords anyway. I just found them distracting, and mostly sort of, there were some that were problematic for me, and yeah, but I still have a huge soft spot for this deck. This card particular, actually, in the guidebook, I remember finding the guidebook about this card saying that there's a difference between childishness and childlikeness, and having a sense of childlike wonder or beginner's mind is something to cultivate rather than being childish. Like, there's a difference, and that's always stuck with me. And at the moment I keep it in this little duct tape and cardboard pouch that I made a few years ago. That's where that one stays. It doesn't fit quite so well now it's been trimmed. I should really make one of my pouches for it, but I'll get around to it one day. The second deck that I bought was from the same shop, and I can't remember how long after getting the tarot deck it was, but I do know that the deck was new, like it was just released, because the person behind the counter was like, oh, you're buying this. I'm seeing lots of people buying this weekend, like it's new in and people really seem to like it. And it's the Brian Froud Faeries Oracle. So again, I've had this for at least 22 years, maybe 23 years, I don't know. And I bought it, there was no, like, I didn't know it was a thing. I literally just saw it in the shop, and I had my pocket money that I'd saved up, and I was like, you know, I'm purchasing this because I love the Frouds. I love Brian Froud's artwork. I love Fae stuff. I love the Dark Crystal and Labyrinth. There was no way I was not going to get this deck, and I've had it ever since. There's some really wonderful characters in here, and I like that it's, you know, Brian Froud's work feels like, I mean, this is one of my favourites. Look at his little face. If you can, seeing as this camera will not focus. Look. See, how annoying. It's not even as good as the laptop camera at this point. But let's see if we can find some more. See, here we have some of them which are more sort of energetic. And yeah, it's just... It does have kind of like suits, because some of the Fae folk are divided up into sort of families or types. So for example, these are all sort of like energetic type beings. There's a bunch of these, and they're all in their own little sort of mini subset and so on. So you've got a bunch of these black and white ones as well, which are all part of the same family. I love this guy, the Sage. He sort of looks dangerous and sexy all at once. So yeah, that is my second deck. So yeah, those are, you know, the first one is my first. Of course, that's Sentimental. The second one is, you know, it was my first ever Oracle deck, my second ever Cartomantic deck. And it's, you know, it's the Frouds. The Frouds have an important place in my childhood, because, you know, they helped. Well, Wendy Froud designed Yoda, the puppet for Yoda, and Brian Froud did loads of the concept art for the Dark Crystal and for Labyrinth, and then for the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. It's just a massive part of my childhood. All that lovely dark and creepy, spooky stuff. The third deck was the I believe it was the second ever tarot deck I bought. And because I didn't get on with it and didn't understand it, I ended up very quickly after that buying the Shaman Caselli sort of beginner's guidebook kit, which I eventually gave away a few years later, and rebought and gave away like 3 times, I think it's been at this point. But I'll just take it off the pouch it's in, and I bought it, I'm not gonna lie, I bought it because I really like the backs. I think I was about 20 when I bought this. I was like really fully getting into my goth, like hard, like I was able to, you know, wear what I was when I was 20. I was at uni. I was able to wear what I want, do what I want within reason. And yeah, I was like, I'm buying the deck with the pentacle on the back. I don't need these fluffy little Osho Zen pretty pink, purpley, yellow colours anymore. And so yeah, I saw cards like this. And I was like, yeah, I am down with this. And then you know, because in the shop that I bought it from, it wasn't how it eventually they did this thing where they would literally have shelves of decks, a bit like they have in Watkins, where you have all the sample decks and you can open them and look through them and look through all of the cards if you so wish. Whereas back then, Mysteries had a ring binder, and it had little plastic pockets in, and it would have, I don't know, like 6 to 8 examples of cards from each deck that they had in stock. So you didn't really get to see much. Like 6 to 8 cards out of 78 is not much. So to just sort of, and of course they're going to put like the most banging cards in there, aren't they? So when I got this home, I was like, I think, you know, I was a bit disappointed in it. And also it's very heavily weighted on the Kabbalah. I think the elements are flipped for this one with the wands and the swords, I think. I can't remember. But I just, like, this was one of the cards that I remember being in the binder. I was like, oh, that's epic. She's got her baps out. It's mystical. It's witchy, you know. And then you get stuff like this. And I'm like, no. And I went through a real, like, hate phase with this deck. It was really... I really just started to, I was just, I can't. So I ended up getting, like I said, the Shaman Caselli. But I even did a video about this years ago, a walkthrough of this on this channel, like sort of showing the weirdness of some of the cards. And loads of people were like, sell it to me, give it to me, I'll take it off your hands. But actually, I've swung back around, and I remember this being in the binder as well. I swang back round and sort of, yeah, I've come to be quite fond of it. I don't read with it because, again, it's very sort of Kabbalistic, and from what I remember, they've swapped I don't really like the quartz, sorry. But yeah, it was, why are some of them upside down? Who knows what's going on? But yeah, the death card, I do remember the death card being in, look how metal the death card is. I wished it was showing the artwork better. Come on, camera. I don't know what is going on. I could swear it was focusing a lot better the other day when I filmed although I was filming a video about my book stack to read list, and it was obviously showing much further away because I'm not, sorry, it's winding me up that all these bloody cards are upside down. Right, okay, for some reason half the deck was upside down. So yeah, I can't remember what I was saying because I just have kind of hold on to a thought. The fourth deck I have to show you. This was, I think people think of this when they see this. Can I speak? Fuck me. When people see this deck, I think people think of me, or if they think of me, they think of this deck. That sounds really up my own arse, doesn't it? People have told me this. And it's understandable because I've mentioned it a lot. Probably less lately because I read so much with Marseille. But this deck is like my baby. And it is, of course, can anyone guess? Tower of the Magical Forest. This was gifted to me in the Christmas of 2014 by my spouse. Was it Christmas 2014? I think it was Christmas 2014 because I remember reading with it so much during 2015. And it's just the cutest. It gives me cute aggression. It is a straight up Smithway clone, but make it cute animals. The colours are really soft. The artwork's really soft. The Hermie, my little boo-boo in love. Favourite hermit card ever. It's really clever. It's so smart the way that the animals have been picked for each suit. It makes so much sense. I trimmed mine because I couldn't deal with the Lo Scarabeo multi-language borders. Ugh. It was distracting. I'm very easily distracted. I don't know if you've noticed, if you've been watching my channel for even any length of time. And yeah, oh my god. Let's see, I'll just show you. It just, you know, it was from my spouse. It's from my spouse. I really started to knuckle down with the Smith weight at this point because I've been using all sorts of decks. I had the Shaman Caselli, but for some reason I just couldn't seem to. Anna Astral Lady Tarot talks about this, like your what was this she calls your go-to decks, or your main decks, where you can see each card, you can flip it through in your head. And for me, I couldn't do that, even though I had the Shaman Caselli deck still at that point. I didn't find it pretty enough to read with often, and so a lot of the time I was defaulting to the Osho Zen, and that was the one that I could reel through in my head, and so I was always comparing it to the Osho Zen. I'm like, well, that, and then because the Osho Zen doesn't use the traditional suits, it uses elements. Not elements, it uses clouds, fire, rainbows, water, and then it's got the majors, spirit maybe, I don't know. So I was doing the opposite, which what some people would do, which was I was converting cards into the Osho Zen system when I was trying to read with like some more Smith-Waite decks. When I got this deck, that switched. I used this so much and practiced with this so much and did so many readings for friends with this deck that this deck was the one that I could flip through. I can literally see every card in this deck in my mind's eye. You know, it really helped. That's the thing. At the time, I still wasn't sure about Pixie's artwork. I found the traditional Smith-Waite kind of ugly. I didn't like the coloration. Thought the line work was messy. I hated the plaid backs. And I just couldn't deal with it. The funny thing is, once I got it was the Centennial Smith-Waite that changed that for me. As soon as I picked up that deck, I literally picked it up because I was like, oh, finally, the coloration on that is not awful, and the line work, they tidied it up. And I really liked the backs. So I picked it up, and that was it. I was like, oh, I get it now. And I started to fall in love with Pixie's artwork. And now I don't actually mind the plaid backs or slightly more garish, chunky line work ones. Isn't that funny? But then this is someone who used to think that the Marseille decks were the ugliest things on the planet, and now I'm like, they're so beautiful, I'm gonna cry. So, and the fifth and final deck is a sentimental deck for a number of reasons. It is the Next World Tarot. This is the independent version. I don't have the indie or the pocket version. I would quite like the pocket version just because I like wee things. This is very big and very glossy. From what I understand, the mass market version of the standard size, like the large size, isn't quite as glossy. The glossiness does bug me somewhat. But this deck, I did a trade with someone, a lovely lady here in our tarot community and art community, and from Canada, and she received the decks that I swapped with her, and my parcel never turned up, and she was so mortified, bless her. And if you're listening, Anna Teresa, hi. And she did end up sending another box of goodies a wee while later, bless her, and another deck, a different deck, because this had gone out of print, you see, and so she was sending me her copy because I was desperate to get a hold of it, and it went missing, and I was like, oh, that really sucks. And at the time there was no plans for this to be mass market. It hadn't been picked up, so I was like, well, maybe one day I'll find it on like a trading or selling site, I don't know. And then Simon of the Hermit's Cave, bless him, was very naughty and sent me a parcel. Didn't tell me, just sent this parcel, and I opened it, and inside was his indie copy of the Next World Tarot, and my god, did I do an ugly cry. I glided him after I'd opened it and go because the gesture of like, and this is the thing, I almost picked the first deck that he bought me, which was when the very first time we met up at Watkins Books, and he had secretly bought a deck for me, and we went for coffee, and he slid it across the table and went, there you go, and I was like, what's this? And he's like, I got you a present, because I was trying to choose between two decks in the shop, and I opted for one and left the other, and he secretly bought the other one, and it's the Nicoletta Ciccoli deck. And I nearly picked that one because that represents our first meeting, but I ended up picking this one because oh my god, the fact that he's sending me his copy of an indie deck that we had no idea was going to ever be released in any other version, that alone just touched my heart. But also the fact that this was the first deck I really saw myself, my friends, my community, and just sort of the world at large, my city. I saw London in this, I saw my circle of friends in this deck. I love the backs. Anyway, I'm waffling and I'm not showing cards, but I'm very aware that this bloody video camera, this web camera, is not focusing. How annoying. Let's find some of my favourites. It's queer, it's genderqueer, it's inclusive and diverse. It's all those buzzwords that we think. It's set in almost like a post-apocalyptic world. Well, it is set in sort of a post-apocalyptic world, hence it's called The Next World. The book is amazing. And another thing, like Christy C. Rhodes' artwork, Christy C. Rhodes is an artist and musician, punk musician, and like I was like, I have to, if she's making a deck, I have to have it because her artwork is awesome. So this was like a triple threat, like emotionally the sentimental, because Simon gifted it to me after the drama of the other copy not turning up in the post via someone else very kindly swapping with me. The fact that I can relate to it, and I've given readings for friends with this deck. This and the Numinous Tarot, like those two decks, they've really like brought friends, like queer friends, trans friends, non-binary friends to tears, purely because they finally get to see themselves in a deck. You know, it's super queer. You've got people of all shapes, all sizes, all colours, all abilities, all sexualities. I just love it. And yeah, it's glossy, and yeah, it's got like, you know, keywords and numbers, and it's got like astrological information on it, and that would usually like really piss me off, but it doesn't with, I don't know, it just doesn't bother me. Like this has got like the methodical approach, and yet somehow it doesn't annoy me. And I think it's just the artwork is so vibrant and so lively, and so it just sings to me that anything, it doesn't bother me that there's anything else, because it's just so good. So yeah, anyway, here's me just sitting here looking through it, just going, oh. So yeah, part of me would like to get the mass market version, so that I have a non-shiny version that I could also trim, just to see how I feel about having a borderless version. And then I would like the mini version, because mini, like there's a mini version of the Sasarobito, and my god, I want it so much. I just love small things, like little wee cute mini. Anyway, so those are my top 5 most sentimental decks. I didn't, like I said, I did pick a whole bunch, some other ones out. Did I say that? I picked some other ones out that were sentimental, but for slightly different reasons, for like the way that they had changed my practice, or it like shifted my understanding, or improved my understanding, advanced my understanding of tarot or of other systems. But I just wanted to keep this video quite short and sweet for me, for a change, because I do an half waffle on, don't I? As I always hear my mum in my head, I hear my mum's voice, go on off, girl, you know, enough talk, can't you, love? As I hear in my back of it, shut up. No, I will not shut up. This is my channel. If people don't want to watch it, they can just like not watch it. It's fine. Anyway, I will try to remember to link all the other videos that I've listed below, and I'll make sure that I include the correct hashtag, so that you can then click on that hashtag and it'll take you through to any other VRs to said hashtag. How many times can I say hashtag? Just said it again. Yeah, so I am going to go make myself a cup of tea and see if I can sort out this bloody focus situation. Let's have to set up the focus on this. Or maybe I'll go live. Oh, yeah, maybe I'll go live. I'll see how I feel once I've made a cuppa. Ciao.